welcome to the #1 channel in East and Central Africa that brings you great and epic motorcycle content many have come to love. Do consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so that you're updated whenever we post a new episode. Now, some of you have had some issues with my intros, but I tend to think that's actually the basis that this channel is known for. And also, I'd like to give a shout out to all those riders who I've interacted with, either on the road, by the roadside, I caught you, or you saw me somewhere but didn't know who I was, but then we got to interact, but then later you found out who I was and then shared of your story of how the channel has impacted you, and that actually really warms my heart. It really shows that the channel is doing something positive out there. And also, if the channel has impacted you in any way, whether good or bad, let me know in the comment section below. I do love reading and replying to all your comments. Anyway, today's episode is all about traveling tips for beginners. Now, these are the tips for those who intend to do short to medium road trips, either as a group or solo. These tips will help you plan better and be more prepared as you set out into the great unknown. Now, I have gone on a few solo trips, and my longest one being having covered 780 kilometers to TZ. Now, that seems so far, well, it is, but that actually tops up the best and the farthest place that I have ever traveled to. And also, I did learn quite a huge deal, so these tips will help you greatly, especially if you're planning to do a solo trip. Let's get into the list. #1, planning. Now, most often than not, we bikers are known for spontaneous nature, whereby we go wherever the road will lead us or wherever we will actually run out of fuel, which is also commonly known as randoms. Now, however, if you want to go on a trip, such a mentality will leave you devastated and lost. Trust me, I know. Planning includes checking and deciding on the best route to take, checking on the weather forecast of the day of the departure and also the days that follow. You need to plan yourself financially because you will need to buy a few essential items such as food, fuel, and accommodation if you are planning on staying in a hotel or a lodging. Now, speaking of cash, always have money set aside for emergencies because anything can happen on a trip, and especially if you are riding solo. Now, you might never need to use it, but it comes in way in handy whenever you are in need. Also, plan also on your clothing. This will entail whatever you intend to carry and wear. For bikers, most of us usually have the same pair of riding gear, but depending on the weather and terrain, of course, it's always best to carry at least rain gear because Africa weather can be very unpredictable, and it's better actually to stay dry and a bit cold rather than be wet and freeze to death. Now, #2, well, not actually death, but you get it. #2, servicing your bike. Anyway, if you are planning to do a long trip, it is better to service your bike right before you set out. Now, this will eliminate any worries that your engine will develop issues along the way. It is not a foolproof method, but it will actually act as a detection system wherever if anything was damaged or about to wear out, that will be replaced, eliminating the possibility of you being stuck in the middle of nowhere with no one to actually help you. Now, this is where actually some skill about knowing how to service and repair your bike comes into, but this will get into another episode. Now, this includes a full service whereby fuels are drained. That includes your oils, and sometimes if you've never had service on your brake fluid, that might also need to be replaced and drained and replaced. Also, worn out parts need to be replaced, just so that as you set out, you are good to go for the rest of the journey for the next 2,000 or 3,000 or even 5,000 kilometers, depending also on the bike that you have. #3, hydrate. Riding a bike for long hours on end does take a huge toll on your body, as most of your body parts are actually in use to control, balance, and maneuver the bike wherever it may be required. Now, in that, a lot of energy is spent, and then like in your car, in a car, you can actually go on autopilot and still drive. Now, we all know that doing that while riding, going autopilot, of course, can lead to actually disaster. And on top of that, with all the gear and we've worn, the helmet, the knee guards, the boots, and the pants, we tend to sweat a lot, and our body becomes dehydrated quite fast. And this can lead to a number of very nasty factors, which you're going to be listing below. Such include reduced visual scanning for hazards. Well, you do have an impaired judgment. You do have reduced fine muscle control. That's where your braking and your throttle response comes in, and you have an increased reaction time whereby you take longer to react in case of any danger, in case of any obstacle that might come your way. You have reduced balance whereby we know a bike has 2 wheels, so we need the 100% balance to keep us upright. You will experience numbness in the hands or feet, in addition to muscle cramps, etc. And also, lapses in attention to traffic and road conditions, which can be very dangerous. And what most of us usually have is we purchase what we have, or rather what we call a water bag, which can be, it's like a backpack, but it has a small 2-liter water bag inside, whereby with a hose pipe running all the way over your shoulder, you can just sip it underneath your helmet into your mouth and suck whatever you have. You can have water, you can have juice, you can have soda, whatever you fancy. Stopping frequently to take water and food can be is very beneficial to your body, and the in-between stops helps to relax your mind and your body. You can actually stretch, take pictures, do some push-up, whatever you fancy, but you really need to have your utmost attention on the road. Now, number 4, we do have one of my favorites, music. Now, going on trips can be quite fun when you are with your fellow riders, but whenever you are alone, well, things get boring very fast, and your mind starts searching for something exciting and new, and in the process you start to lose focus on the road, because humans usually have a short attention span. So if the road is just straight with no corners or anything, you tend to lose focus quite fast. You lose focus and you also get into autopilot mode. You can have music or anything play inside your head, inside your helmet via a Bluetooth set or earphones, so that your mind is a little bit entertained. Please note that this shouldn't take all of your attention away from the road and what's ahead of you, but instead think of it like keeping your mind engaged enough so that it doesn't drift off. And also make sure that you have a ton of playlists, because they run out quite fast. Trust me, I had actually like 20 playlists, and they were actually done in a matter of hours. In order to cover this, you can have podcasts, book readings, and if you don't have any of those, or rather if you're tired of hearing the same song singing over and over and over, or you are done with all the playlists that you have, you can always sing or talk to yourself, or even to your bike. Think of it as a bonding session between you and the bike. I know people on the road might see you a bit crazy, but hey, you are having a ton of fun. Number 5, we do have fun and make memories. For the majority of us riders, we do love our motorcycles to death, to a point whereby if it's not running in order, some of us even can't sleep, me included. Now, biking has changed so many lives and continues to do so, and when you ride, you experience life on another level of freedom. You see the world for what it actually is, and when you're setting out on a trip, make sure to have as many memories as you can, because you will live to tell the tale of your many adventures. Now, many people envy you as a biker because you do have the balls to do what a lot of people cannot, and a bike can go quite further than any normal vehicle would. So go out there and make memories and have some fun. Also ride into the sunset. You know, one thing that you will understand, one thing that you will come to note is that whenever you go on a trip, you do tend to meet a lot of people. You do tend to see a lot of new cultures and experience a lot of new cultures, such as food, and funny enough, the hospitality of people out there is actually nice. It's not as bad as people actually seem to be. And by the way, the more you travel, the more you gain wisdom, and the more you gain wisdom, the more you are wise. Does that even make sense? I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this episode. It's been a while, work has been crazy, but we move on nonetheless. This week we have a new review of the new YCR bike coming into the show. It has been asked a lot, and I'm very happy to actually announce that it's finally coming to the channel, so stick around for that. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget also to follow us on our social media at Rico the Gearhead on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And until next time, guys, stay safe, ride safe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.